Welcome to Shiloh Ranch. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to everything that's going on here. It seems like every now and then you start a sermon and there's this sense that you sort of roll the boulder off the mountain, but you're not sure exactly how it's going to go. And we're wrapping up a series that I have loved. I have loved the Dream series. I think that's the sign of a good series is when you learn something even though you're the one teaching it, and that's definitely been the case. And we're wrapping it up, and what's so weird is it feels like we get, in my mind, a month ago I had it all kind of buttoned up and it was clean and it was perfect, and then you get to the end and you go, man, this could go 1,000 different directions, and that's for sure the case. If you're not familiar with Shiloh, let me just tell you one of the things that we're big on, like at a personal level, and I'm not assigning spiritual prescription to this, but at a personal level is I love for people to feel free. There were times in my life where spiritually I didn't feel particularly free to explore or to ask questions. And so one of the things that is a high value of ours is that people feel free. And with freedom, there's got to be a dream and a goal. I would hope that what's coming out of this series is people are giving themselves permission to dream again and to hope again and live with passion and purpose and within the biblical understanding of that. And I think the nervousness that I might be experiencing is I want to land the plane well, and it feels like we get right down here to the last of the series, and I'm conscious that it may be a little confusing. Okay. This series matters to me for this reason specifically, is that when you set out in your life as a young person to go accomplish a life, and even as an older person as you're going into a new season of life, regardless of where you are, you will run into failure first before you ever run into achievement, much less clarity. I mean, I think the hope is that we find clarity first, but you're going to run into failure first. In life, you will run face first into failure far before you run into achievement. And if there's not an understanding of that, if that's not understood as part of the plan, I feel like that the worst case scenario would be that we give up. Hear me on this. And I know this is all sort of a preface to the sermon, but here's why I feel like this series is important, is I'm afraid of a future where people have given up on dreams and given up on goals and living with no passion. There's no planning. There's no purpose. There's no goals. It's like we think of life as like we're on this floaty and we're just going to go wherever life takes us. That is a future that I would be afraid of. I would love to think this can help avoid that as a potential outcome. Because I think in those moments when you've just resigned yourself to the floaty and you're just going to go wherever the river takes you, when God has this moment of hope, when something sort of sparks, we have this dialogue. See if you can understand this. See if you can remember a time in your life where this has happened. You have this dialogue with yourself and you go, no, remember you tried this once. Oh yeah, that time. And oh yeah, that season. Or oh yeah, that job. Or oh yeah, that marriage. Or oh yeah, that addiction. Or whatever season. And we remind ourselves why we gave up in the first place. We go, oh yeah, that's right. And the moment of hope gets stolen because of past failure. I got a title, and here's the title, and it means two things, and I'll explain it. But the title is, I don't have a dream. I don't have a dream. If you're taking notes, there's the title, I don't have a dream. And that can mean one of two things. That can mean either I don't know what I want, or what I think of as my dream turns out is not a dream at all. I don't have a dream. There's a title. Sometimes, culturally, one of the battles that we face as we set our hearts towards Jesus and we go, okay, bring us where you want us to go. Sometimes what is cultural, we don't realize is cultural. We think it's just the way that things are. And I think one of the things that our culture really teaches is in terms of a dream that there's an element of conquering. There's an element of validation. Sometimes we say dream, but what we really mean is acceptance. Sometimes we go, I got a dream, but what we really are saying is that we want revenge. Sometimes we say, I've got a dream, I've got this thing I want to do, but it's based in an immature position. So often what people say is, I have a dream, but really what they mean unintentionally is, I've settled on a substitute. The dream maybe seems too lofty, but I would settle for X, Y, and Z. If you were wondering if the word was ever going to make its way into this sermon, we're there. Luke chapter 12, verse 13. There is a crowd of people, the same time, the same region, the same place as God in human form. as crazy as the chances are that they get to be there and witnessing, I mean, the fraction of a chance that even that moment was possible, and then they're listening to him speak. And someone from the crowd sees this opportunity to speak to the Son of God physically in a way that so few people ever got to experience. They're going to physically speak to God face to face, and they say this, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." They're like, this is it, my big moment. They say that he's God. Do you think he is? I don't know, but I think he might be. Let's see. All right, Jesus, here's my moment. Make him give me part of the inheritance. Verse 14, Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to him, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." I love this because he doesn't say you're right or you're wrong. Is it left or is it right? It's a false dilemma sometimes. I think we give Jesus a false dilemma. Do you want me to go right or do you want me to go left? And Jesus never falls for it. He never goes with I guess if those are my two options, go right. He goes, "Tell my brother to give him my inheritance." He says, back up a little bit. It doesn't matter if you're right or you're wrong. It's that life is more than the dilemma you've created. We've got 2 points. I have a title and 2 points. I don't want that to go unnoticed. Here's the first point. And I'm saying air quotes, dreams can never outpace your own maturity. Dreams, if we're trying to understand what it means to live a life with a dream in mind, that your dream can never outpace your own maturity. Let me give you an example. My kids, when they were growing up, would come to me and they would have settled on what they want to do. I know what I want to do. What do you want to do? I want to be invisible. Like, well, okay. I want to, I've told this story before. One time Jet came into the room and he's got this t-shirt on. And under his t-shirt, he has shoved like pillows and stuffed animals. And in his mind, based on his maturity level, I mean, he's 2 or 3, something like that. He's like, I'm strong now. Because his understanding of his dream was, if you just puff your shirt up a little bit, there's a connection between that and your strength. So as we're developing a dream, keep in mind, be fair to yourself. Be realistic to yourself. Sometimes what you thought was a dream was based on what you understood in the moment, and that will update. That will progress. That will grow. Verse 13, let's revisit this. It says, someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." That wasn't a question. A question would have said, correct me. Am I seeing this right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to know. He doesn't ask any question. He doesn't ask Jesus a question. Instead, he says, correct him. It's a statement. A question would have said, correct me. A statement says, correct him. I want to take the power of Jesus and I want to direct it towards my own will. And I think that's a good question to ask ourselves is as we're looking through life, so many times we want financial security, we want healthy homes, we want meaningful jobs or whatever the case may be, accomplishments, things like that. But is it fair to ask, are we considering our dreams through the scope of a statement? This is what I want and I'm going for it. Young people, please hear me on this. When you get too rigid and dreams become statements, failure will be that much more devastating. Because you've set the parameters so siloed over your own will. Sometimes I think it's good. Those failure moments are good when our dreams go from statements to questions. If you think of your thoughts like a dialogue and you have that moment where you're saying your dream as a statement, here's what has already happened. By the time you go, this is what I want to do in my life and this is where I'm going to go. I've consulted with myself and I've concluded that what I'm asking is justified. Now, you'd never say it that way because when you say it that way, it sounds insane. But think about this. When you go, this is what I'm going to set out to do, you're making a lot of assumptions. I've consulted with myself. I've had this conversation in my head. Sounds good. I like it. It's a good goal. Here we go. And so when this guy is talking to Jesus, he says, listen, here's what I'm going to need from you. My brother, who knows? I love that about the Bible. It doesn't clarify that because I'm right, he owes it to me. And he doesn't say because I'm wrong, he doesn't. That doesn't matter. He says, Jesus, here's what I'm going to need from you. I don't have a dream. That's the title. I don't have a dream. I have an argument. I've got a conflict. And what I need is for you to ensure that I win the conflict. I have an agenda. I have demands. What he says is, and a lot of this, you're reading into it, but he's saying, all right, here's my moment with Jesus. What are you gonna say? Well, I'm going to make sure that he understands that my most important moment of my life is spent trying to win. I want to win. I want to come out on top. I want to be victorious in this issue because I feel so justified. I want to beat the bad guy. I want to secure my place as the good guy, because isn't that what Disney taught us? If Disney has taught us anything, is that the good guy always wins, the bad guy always loses. Oh, also, the good guy has the character and the values that we want in our life so that we can relate to him, and they always do something with the bad guy so that he's not too likable, so that when he loses, we all agree that's a good thing. And this guy is saying, I want to secure myself as I want my inheritance. I'm good. He's bad. It's not said as a question. Jesus, help me understand this. It's said as a statement. Jesus, here's what I need you to do. John Vervaeke says this, and I don't know if I got his name right or not, but he said this, that the two prevailing philosophies in life, it's on a podcast. You can look it up. His last name, if you want to look it up, is Vervearke. You pronounce it. But he said when you start to dissect the two prevailing philosophies amongst humanity, there is phileo Nikeia, which is a love of conquering, and phileo Sophia, which is a love of wisdom. That almost every ambition that we have in life falls into one of those two things. Every goal, every dream, every ambition, every purpose, every time that we put ourselves towards something, that we're either pursuing a conquering element or we're pursuing a wisdom element, and the two don't go hand in hand. They're not of the same spirit. So Jesus, right on the heels of him saying, divide my inheritance, he goes, life is about more than your dilemma, than your false dilemma. This dilemma that you've created in your head, it's bigger than that. In verse 16, this is Jesus. He goes on, he says, and he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. He is conquering his circumstances. He is successful on every measuring stick that you have. He's doing really well. Verse 18, then he said, this is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. I'll take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. Now, if you go back to what I was saying about the love of conquering versus the love of wisdom, this one seems like an easy one to dissect. He is having, remember I said sometimes this love of conquering has a dialogue. There's this dialogue that says, I've consulted with myself, I've kicked it around with myself, and here's what I've settled on. You see that so clearly spelled out is this guy goes, I have a problem. What should I do? I deserve this. I've worked hard for it. Wealth will produce an easy life. I'll sit back and enjoy it. He is saying it. It's like we're not having to guess what he was thinking. He's saying it out loud in this parable. You know what? This is what I think. You know what? That's funny. That's exactly what I was thinking. And he and himself have this conversation, and they settle on that I deserve it, I'm owed, and I'm going to conquer. Okay. Can we consider this? Remember I said that your dreams can never outpace your maturity, and this is still under that heading, but can we consider this as part of point one, that maybe a goal isn't the same thing as a dream? Let that hang there for a second, because this is new to me also. That maybe we say dream, I don't have a dream, means we don't have a dream because we don't understand what a dream is. We thought that a dream was the same as a goal. What if we could consider that a goal is not the same as a dream? A goal is given as a statement. This is my goal. Statement. I love this Timothy Keller quote. I'm going to read it to you in its entirety. It says, idolatry is attached to everything. See, the brother said, give me my inheritance. And Jesus didn't get into the details of right or wrong. He was saying, it's not what you're holding. It's not the goals that you have. It's not the dreams that you have. That's not the problem. It's the way that you're holding on to them and what you're anticipating that you can get out of them. Idolatry is attached to everything, good things and bad things. Idolatry can be attached to good things. All of our bitterness, all our impurity, all our malice, all of our problems, everything that troubles us is a result of idolatry. And what is idolatry? It's taking a good thing and making it an ultimate thing. Taking a good thing, making it an ultimate thing. I wonder if the American dream, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I wonder if the American dream hasn't become over-flavored with the idolatry of conquering. There's a statement, C.S. Lewis said that pride takes no joy in having something, only having more of it than the next guy. Conquering. Conquering can be the motivation in anything. Listen, I'm tattling on myself, and I don't want an amen from my wife on this one, live or in person. Driving. When someone does something stupid, I can justify it by going, that person, Lacey's nodding her head, that person is putting everybody in danger, and it's so easy for me to elect myself, that's not right. Get so mad and like the injustice of it. Because right under the surface of my conscious mind is a desire to conquer everything all the time, every day. It just comes by. I come by it naturally. And I'll tell you who else does. My daughter. My daughter is the one because she was at wrestling practice. Yes, my daughter is in wrestling. I'm not here to learn. I'm here to win. If we're not careful, the American dream it's shifting towards I want to conquer. Look at our political system. It's a political system. It's an intricate conflict that we have because it says which one's right, left or right, which one's correct, blue or red, conservative or liberal, which is it? And it's a false dilemma. It's a false dilemma because it is based in this idea, a love of conquering. There's no love of wisdom. There's no love of, is there a space for all of us to exist? Our political climate, our cultural climate has found itself in this idea of, I have a dream. What? Beat the bad guys. And even, side note, even conquering ourselves. We celebrate when people conquer themselves, when they're like posting pictures of how disciplined they are, as though like conquering ourselves. Side note, different sermon. Verse 20, but God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is a very easy parable to misunderstand because this is like the basis of communism or socialism when it's misused. And that's not what the Bible is teaching. Actually, the Bible taught individual ownership. Throughout the Bible okayed the idea of individual ownership. He's not talking about what you own. He's talking about how you own it. And he doesn't say, that's it, I'm going to kill you. And keep in mind, this is a parable. This is not a man. This is Jesus telling a story. It's this imaginary story to tell a truth that we can understand. It says your life will be demanded. All it says is in this moment, he accomplishes his goal, and then it all gets taken back. I almost think it feels to me like Jesus is going like, if your maturity could progress a little bit, you'd understand how shallow and meaningless that goal is. And the worst thing you could do would be to accomplish the goal and then understand why it was shallow after the fact. This is how it will be for whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. It doesn't say for people who store up things for themselves, period. It says when you place your dream, your life dream, which is in this case would be a goal, on storing up things for yourself, but you have no concept of who God is, you're not putting the right amount of perspective on who God is. It says this is what it's going to be. You're going to win a game only to lose it. Someday you will be conquered, and then what's left? What good did the conquering do in your life when you are conquered in the end? I don't have a dream. I don't have a dream. This moment that goes, I thought I did until I got it. I really expected that life was going to be this until I got it, and I was wrong. I don't have a dream. I didn't have a dream. I don't even know what a dream is. I thought my goals were my dreams. And then when my goals didn't work out, one of two things. I either got them and I was miserable, or I never got them and I felt like a failure. It's a losing game. It's a losing proposition when we combine the concept of a goal and a dream. Have you ever lost somebody unexpectedly? And I mean like completely out of the blue, completely unexpectedly. It's so fascinating. There's a little window of time where it's like we justify that the death can't possibly be real. That can't be right. And what do we say? That can't be right. He was going to do this. He had just bought that. She had just done this. It's like we use the goals as a reason that it can't be over. That can't be right. We were going to go to dinner next week. They had just bought a house. They had just gotten married. They just had kids. They can't be dead. I think sometimes when goals and dreams become sort of the same thing, it's like when the person doesn't make the distinction that the goal is almost all they had left. Here's my second point. I think it's maturity, it's spiritual maturity that allows us to transform our goals into dreams. I don't have to explain to anybody what a goal is. I think everybody understands what a goal is. But the purpose of this series is to examine and understand what a dream is. Like I said last week, our life is like this ingredient dish, and all of it goes in, and the whole thing, that's our story. And if we understand that those are the ingredients, then we start to understand that when we distinguish between a goal, then we have to understand what is a dream. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 9, and I took it from the Message Bible for Levi and Jacob when you guys are editing this. This verse is from the Message Bible, and I love how clearly it puts it. It says this: sell everything and buy wisdom. If your goal is wealth, selling everything had better be for something more valuable than everything that you've accumulated. Sell everything and buy wisdom. Forage for understanding. Remember I said that the two prevailing philosophies is a pursuit of conquering. And listen, once you understand it, and even if you don't understand it now, even if it takes years later, but if you can understand it today, what you'll realize is how much of your motivation in life is conquering and wanting to win and not wanting to be beat and wanting to, fix this and climb that. And you go, wait a minute. Am I allowed to want to win? Jacob and I talked about it on the podcast Monday night, but there's a reason when someone goes, I want to be a famous photographer, we go, ugh, because it doesn't feel like photography. It doesn't feel like a love of photography that produces a community around it. It feels like a love of conquering, and we want to use photography to accomplish that. A goal and a dream have got misplaced. Sell everything and buy wisdom says a love of wisdom, a value of wisdom, a value that is so high that you would give up everything to get it. Don't forget one word. Don't deviate an inch. Never walk away from wisdom. She guards your life. Love her. She guards your life. Love her. She keeps an eye on you. Above all and before all, do this. Get wisdom. Write this at the top of your list. Get understanding. Throw your arms around her. Do you see the passion? Somebody that goes, I remember conquering and it didn't work. This is a passionate expose from somebody who has discovered wisdom and is happy with what they found. Started to pursue wisdom and is saying it was the right choice. Get understanding. Throw your arms around her. Believe me, you won't regret it. Never let her go. She will make your life glorious. Wisdom, not achievement, not fame, not goals, not the things that we thought would work. This is a dream. It's a dream of someone whose life is expanding. I don't know what the word festoon means, and it's in here, and I'm trying to decide if I should read it or not. But it ends with, she'll garland your life with grace, and she'll festoon your days with beauty. I assume that means something like decorating. I don't know. I'm going to get a lot of comments on that. I think goals are delivered in the form of a statement, but a dream is delivered in the form of a question. Where will I go? What will I do? What have I not learned yet? What could life be like if my understanding expanded? Wisdom delivered in the form of a question is easier to share. I mean, it's easier to understand, and there's almost no way to fail. I think the reason we avoid dreams is because the rate of failure is so high. But if wisdom is delivered in the form of a question, what does failure even look like? In fact, sometimes failure is the most important step on the way to getting where we're supposed to go. We can live with confidence. We can deliver a question with confidence where we deliver a statement with doubt. I read the entire speech of Dr. Martin Luther King, the I Have a Dream speech. I don't know that you could say something about I have a dream and that not be the first thing that pops into people's heads. My title of my sermon is I Don't Have a Dream. His speech was I Have a Dream. And it is, if you haven't read it, it is a beautifully crafted speech. But here's how it ends. It says this: I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh see it together. I think what he had discovered and what makes that speech so powerful is he's saying from a position of weakness, we want to be elevated, but we're not wanting to be elevated over you. He even says we're not going to violence. This is not about conquering or battle or conflict. He's saying, I have a dream that we expand to understand each other. The theme of the entire speech is a pursuit of better rather than the conquering of the bad guy. He didn't say, and when we take over, you're going to regret it. He's saying, I'm looking forward to the day. I have a dream that someday we will understand each other better than we do now, and life will be better. You go, well, that sounds like a goal. Here's the distinction. It's not said, and this is how it's going to work. This is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. He's going, there is better. Can we please collectively move forward towards it? There's a distinction that needs to be made because, like I said, a question from a dream, a statement from a goal. But the theme that Martin Luther King Jr. held through that whole speech was a statement, back to statement. So remember, we've talked about this, life travels from simple, complex, simple, that we go, oh, it's real easy. And then we realize why it's not that easy. And then it gets easier again, and we say it's simple again. The theme of I don't have a dream is it's a statement. This is what I'm going to do. Then it's a question, but it goes back into a statement again when it goes from a goal, statement, dream, question, hope is delivered as a statement. This is a beautiful concept if I can accurately portray it. Hope is always delivered as a statement because it's not based in human performance. It's based in the character of God. That I have a dream of expansion in my life where I've got a lot of questions and a lot of growth and things I want to do and places I want to go and things like that. But I have a statement about the goodness of God. The reason I have a dream that I won't let die is because I have a hope in a God that is diligent and faithful. The work that he began in me, he's still working on me. There's never an age that I age out of this and I can give up. The statement of hope is I know the goodness of God and I will cling to it. Psalms 39 verse 5 says this, you have made my days a mere handbreadth. The width of a hand. You've made my days like my life. I realized my life was not as big as I thought it was. I'm not as important as I thought it was. You've made my life a mere handbreadth. The span of my years is as nothing before you. Remember I said that awe is when there's something bigger than you, but you feel drawn into it. I feel small, but you're a good God. It's a statement of hope. Everyone is but a breath, even those who seem secure. Even people who call their dreams in statements. Their life is but a breath. Surely everyone goes around like a mere phantom. In vain they rush about, heaping up wealth without knowing whose it will finally be. Can I repeat that real quick? Surely everyone goes around like a mere phantom. In vain they rush about, heaping up wealth without knowing whose it will finally be. But now, Lord, what do I look for? Question. What do I look for? That's a question. It's wisdom. My dream is what do I look for? What can I pursue? What will life hold in this season and that season? What is something like it's given in the form of a question. It says, my hope is in you. It's a statement. If I had to put a bow on the entire dream series, it would be goals, dreams, and hopes. Statement, question, statement. That we can't give up on ourselves without doubting the goodness of God. When we resign ourselves to the little floaty of life that will just go where our circumstances take us, that's a statement about God that we didn't intend to make. Well, I had a dream and it didn't work out. No, you had a goal and it didn't work out. You had immaturity that didn't let you see the picture fully. You had a life that you thought was going to go this way, but it actually went that way. But maturity allows you to go, but the question is, what could God do with that? God's a good God. Statement, question, statement. I would imagine if you gave the brothers an opportunity to rethink their point with Jesus, I think what they would say is, what inheritance? Just take it. It's all gone in the end. What is my life? Who am I? Who are you? Tell me more about you. But when dreams and goals are never separated, what happens is we lock on to that and that alone, and we say it as statements. And passing or failing, success or failure is based on whether we can, achieve or pursue. And it distorts. It inhibits our growth. It inhibits our maturity so that we're never able to see it accurately. When it's given in the form of a question and our maturity expands and we see God more clearly, we understand God more fully, even the things that we thought were goals will change. But he never does. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. When we set our hope as an anchor, that's where dreams start to become. I have a dream, like Martin Luther King, I have a dream where collectively, it's not about conquering each other. It's about this pursuit of wisdom, a pursuit of God where there is room for everybody, a loving environment, a loving culture, this culture of growth and pursuit of the goodness of God based in the hope of his identity. Let's pray. Lord, I think that I don't have a dream might be a misleading title, but I think the hope that I have would be that you can help us to distinguish. Lord, that you can help us to understand what is a goal, what is a dream, where is our hope, who are you, who are we? But God, there's no way that we can understand your goodness and not live with a sense of anticipation, with a sense of passion and purpose, standing up for what's right, standing up against what is wrong, but God, not living with a sense of conquering each other, but God, in a sense of pursuit of wisdom that allows us to love each other. Lord, when we stop and start to examine our decisions and our lives and our goals, it's astounding how much of our fuel is conquering. And Lord, I pray that you would give us a hunger and an appetite and a desire to see you more clearly, to anchor our hope in you and who you are, that allows us to live with life and purpose and that just swings us with momentum forward into the next day. Pray in Jesus' name, amen.